Now let me teach you how to do the second part of a machine voice, that is called as movable job. Now here let us forget about this portion, that is whatever the shape is there, let us forget about this shape because this is having a different thickness, this is having a different thickness. Now the height is given as 45 mm and the width is given as 50 mm for a thickness of 40 mm. Now normally you have seen top, front and side views, but here front view, side view and the bottom view is given. Bottom view is nothing but the observer is going to look at this position. From here he is going to look, that is called as bottom view. Top view means the observer is going to look in this direction. Now let us create a 45 by 50 mm rectangle whose thickness will be 40 mm. Now accordingly let us create a solid part. Now let us make use of a command called protrusion. Let me select the front plane as a sketching plane. Now let me give the width as 50 mm, the height as 45 mm, which is supposed to be given like this at an angle of 0 degree. Now make use of a command called smart dimension 45 and 50 mm. Then using symmetrical relationship, make is symmetrical to each other. In the same fashion, change the symmetrical axis to this one, then these two must be symmetrical. Then using return command, go for symmetric extent. Go for symmetric extent for a value of 40 mm. For a value of 40 mm. Now after finishing these things, next let us go for the protrusion command. Now let me select the front plane as a sketching plane. Why the front plane itself as a sketching plane? To draw this sketch. Now you can see a small vertical line, horizontal line, vertical line, horizontal line, vertical line, horizontal line, vertical line. And here to here we have a radius, here to here we have a radius. Next, this length is given as 25 mm, this is given as 3 mm, the distance from here to here it is given as 5 mm, from here to here it is given as 35 mm, this is R10, this is R3 and the distance from here to here is given as 10 mm. Now let us give all these values over there. Let me draw a small vertical line, horizontal, vertical, horizontal, vertical, horizontal, vertical and connect to the start point. Now let us start giving the respective values. This dimension is given by 3 mm. This height is given by 25 mm. Now let us use the distance between command and give this value as 25 mm. In the same fashion, this dimension is given as 35 mm. Now before giving that, let us log this value as 5 mm so that this value will not be going to change in this direction, it will go in this direction. Next, in the same fashion, the distance between this line and this line is given as 10 mm. Now we have given almost all the required dimension and the distance will be from here to here is obviously 50 mm only. Now make use of a command called fillet, then set the fillet radius as 10 mm, which is supposed to be from here to here. In the same fashion, change the fillet radius to 3 mm, that fillet radius is from here to here. Now to confirm that, we can use the smart dimension and we can generate the fillet radius value R3 and R10. Now what is its thickness? The thickness is given as 100 mm and it is distributing equally from the centers. Now let me say return. Once again use the symmetric extent, then let us give the distance as 100 mm. Now this is what a required component what we wanted. Now after this, if you observe carefully, we have to create a hole here which is at a distance from this edge to here is 27 mm. That hole is supposed to be a square threaded hole of diameter 20 into 2. Now let us create that hole. Make use of a command called hole. Let me select this face as a sketching plane. Why? Because the 40 mm face whatever we have, in that face we have to create this hole. Now let me select this as a sketching plane. Now go for hole options, we wanted a threaded hole of diameter 20 mm. Now which type of thread I required? I required 20 into 2. Since we don't have a square threads, so we have to select trapezoidal thread, and whatever the hole extent is there, throughout the hole I need to create a thread portion. Now let me place it somewhere here. The distance from the center to this edge is given as 27 millimeters. The distance from that edge to the center, which is given as 27 millimeter, which we can observe over here, that is nothing but this edge, that is 27 millimeters. Now we are creating that hole in this direction. Let me say finish. After this, if you observe, there are two holes at a distance of this edge is 15.5, that is nothing but here to here is 3 mm. That means from this edge to this edge will be obviously 15.5 minus 3, which will come around 12.5, that is nothing but exactly at the center of this face. Now the distance between these two holes is 60 mm, which is symmetrically divided. Now if you observe here, once again it is given as two holes of dia 5, deep 13 and tap of M6, deep 13. Here also you can see the same thing was there. So here what we did is we have created a two holes. Instead of dia we have considered the diameter as 6 mm, the deep of 13 mm along with V bottom, but out of which 10 mm we have selected as a thread length. Now let us repeat the same thing over here also. Now let me go for the solid part. Let me go for the hole. Let us select this face. Now let me go for a hole option. Next, instead of simple hole, let me go for threaded hole. Now what is the diameter of that hole? It is taken as 6 millimeter. Now we wanted only M6, so let us select the standard of M6. I wanted the hole thread depth is only 10 mm, but the hole depth is supposed to be 13 mm, and excluding V bottom, and V bottom angle, since I have given 90 degree there, let me select 90 degree here also. Then let me say OK, which is supposed to be positioned somewhere here and somewhere here, because we are getting lot of disturbances. See here, we are getting the tangent and so many things, so which will be very difficult to position it properly. Now with some difficulty I am placing it. Now using the smart dimension or distance between, give the center to center distance as 60 mm. After giving center to center distance as 60 mm, give center to one datum plane as 30 mm, the other will be obviously 30 mm. The height from this bottom edge to this center is given as 50.5 millimeter. So let me give that value, 15.5 millimeter from the bottom edge. From this edge it will be 12.5 millimeter. Now let me say return. Now in this direction that hole is going to be happen. Let me say finish. Now you can see these two holes have been completed, and at the bottom with a distance of 24 mm exactly at the center, the same type of hole should be created once again. So let us go for solid part. Let me select the hole command itself. Now where it has to be selected, it has to be done with respect to the 50 mm center. That means from here it is 25, from here it is 25. Now let me go for this plane. Next, the two holes has to be created where, let us select the threaded hole of diameter 6 millimeter. Then once again let us do the necessary changes as M6. Next, the thread portion is 10 mm out of 13 mm hole depth, and V bottom angle is taken as 90 degree. Let me say OK. Where it has to be positioned, one hole has to be positioned here and another hole has to be positioned here. The distance between these two holes must be 25 mm, which is 25. The distance between the holes itself is 24 mm. Next, the distance between one hole to the datum plane is given as 12 millimeter. So we have positioned it properly as per our sketch. We have positioned it properly as per our sketch. Now say return command, give the direction of depth, then say finish. Now this is going to complete the required portion that is called as movable jaw. Now let me go for a save. In the summary, type the title as movable jaw. Movable jaw. We have to type a title as movable jaw. Now let me save it as movable jaw. Now this completes the second part of a machine voice.